stop tickling your feet as you try to go to sleep at night.
I'm Elliot Truman, and I'll be breaking down some of the videos from my Dreamland series.
Please like and subscribe.
They're waiting for the arrival of the blessed Balthazar. Many before them have tried and failed to summon him.
Why would you want to summon the blessed Balthazar? Well, you'd only want to summon the blessed Balthazar if you believed the polygods were illegitimate and Calthar the Ancient was the one true god of Dreamland.
And many more have carried the thought with them every day of their lives. But this time the blessed Balthazar will rise from the pond, and when he does, he will become part of everyone who longs to know his name.
It's a very, very obscure way of saying that he will achieve the goal of returning the polygods back to the rotating lozenge in order to reinstate Calthar the Ancient as the true god of Dreamland once again.
Tad is the king of these slopes.
This character, Tad, is very much inspired by that one South Park episode called Aspen, when the guys from South Park go to Aspen, the ski resort, and that episode is supposed to be a parody of a 1980s sports movie. And in the episode there's this character, I can't remember it, his name might actually be Tad, and he challenges Stan to a downhill ski race. What happens eventually is that Tad, or whatever his name is, tries so hard to sabotage Stan during the race that he ends up taking so much time that Stan just eventually wins the race. But this character is very arrogant, I am the best on these slopes type individual, is directly inspired by that one South Park episode. Go and check it out if you've not seen it.
Meanwhile, you keep falling over. But Tad won't be around to embarrass you much longer, because today the snow spiders are coming out.
There were no snow spiders in South Park, unfortunately.
I hope he can see you waving goodbye.
Bye.
There is nothing unusual about the tub in the woods.
This is an abject mouth, and abject mouths are these mouths that appear in normal, everyday household objects. And the abject mouths actually play a significant role in the distribution of bug powder, because once you put something in an abject mouth, it will come out of another abject mouth somewhere else in Dreamland. And this is quite useful if you want to send bug powder to a faraway place in a short period of time. And the abject mouths are what the Dursley boys used to bypass Crudfoot checkpoints and distribute bug powder freely across Dreamland.
In fact, all the tubs in the woods are perfectly ordinary. However, the tub in your home is different. That one should be avoided, no matter how much its occupant insists there's enough room for two.
The necromancer of Mount Dice has granted you his tarot card.
The necromancer of Mount Dice is the leader of the cult of the Withered Root, who are the most ardent supporters of the glorious orbital dice, who is the polygod of necromancy. And the cult of the Withered Root live in Mount Dice, in the caverns in the mountain, where they perform their necromancy rituals and worship God, the dice.
You have encountered the phantom frog beasts. Maybe it's the tea you're drinking. Are you even in a vast ice plain? But the beasts ask you an important question. What is the geometry of your mind? You pause, then say, "My mind occupies no space at all." The frog beasts nod, then vanish into the realm from which they came.
There's quite a lot of lore surrounding the frog beasts, and it has to do with the geography of Dreamland. So the phantom frog beasts only appear on the vast ice plains, and whenever people have reported encountering the phantom frog beasts, all of the reports state the same thing. The frog beasts appeared from seemingly nowhere and asked a single question: what is the geometry of your mind? Now, Professor Lambert, who is a scientist, he believes that the phantom frog beasts aren't real, but they are hallucinations. And those hallucinations are caused by altitude sickness, but also extreme isolation. And the isolation is quite notable here because reports of frog beast encounters have only been made by single individuals travelling alone across the vast ice plains. So a group of people, or even just two people travelling together, have never encountered the beasts. They only seem to appear to lone travellers. And because of that, Professor Lambert suggests that the isolation in combination with the climate of the region causes these hallucinations. But there's a big flaw in Professor Lambert's logic here, because if the phantom frog beasts were merely the products of hallucination, then we would not expect so many solo travellers to report being asked the same question by the phantom frog beasts. If something were a hallucination, the contents of that hallucination should vary between individuals, but the contents of the supposed hallucination are all the same across individuals who have reported meeting the phantom frog beasts. And what that suggests is that Professor Lambert is wrong, and they're not hallucinations at all, but the frog beasts are actually real entities who, for whatever reason, approach lone travellers on the vast ice plains to inquire about the spatial properties of their minds.
Crudfoot family is following you through the grove.
This was the first video featuring the Crudfoot family. Again, like most of the characters and factions in the series, I don't create them at first with a whole planned out lore and plot line development, but rather I go back, review my old videos, and think, I really liked the name Crudfoot family. Let's do something with them. Okay, well, we like the Dursley boys. The Dursley boys and the Crudfoots seem like good opponents. Okay, let's make them two warring factions who fight for control over the bug powder trade. And so bug powder isn't mentioned in this first video with the Crudfoot family, but it's heavily suggested, even here, that they live in the unending grove, which is not literally unending. And many people in the comments have pointed out that how can you say that there's an edge to the unending grove when the grove is unending? And the reason why it's unending is not that it physically goes on forever. It's that when you enter the unending grove, the paths are so winding, it's so easy to get taken off course that many people don't make it out. And so the unending grove, perhaps in a sense, was inspired by the film The Blair Witch Project, where a very similar mechanism of a vast wooded area disorients people to such an extent they get lost, believe they'll never make it out, and hence consider the place to be unending. So that's why the grove is unending. It's not a literal description of the geography, but more the label that has been applied to the forest over time due to its capacity to essentially swallow up travellers and cause them to lose their bearings.
They're getting too close for comfort. But the tree sap is blurring your vision, making it harder to fight them off. Any longer, and your sight will reduce to mere polygons. Then the Crudfoots will have their way.
There was some environmental storytelling there, or the scenes in the videos were supposed to reflect the mental state of the traveller, because at the start of the video, first few scenes are more or less high resolution, and as the video goes on and describes how the tree sap blurs the vision of the person holding the gun, the resolution of the images decreases to represent that. And that was a deliberate stylistic choice. It was a nice flourish.
Professor Traven has uncovered the secret to Oro the Eversphere's infinite wisdom, but because he believes the secret lies in a large dose of bug powder.
This could be the first video that mentions bug powder. I can't remember, but it could well be the first one. If someone else knows, please leave a comment.
He has completely forgotten the very point of his research in the first place. Instead, he has decided that the most important thing he can do right now is caress this particular tree.
This is a Dursley Boy lore video.
Old Man Smoke out of the picture, the ragtag gang of banditos known as the Dursley Boys are suddenly leaderless.
The Dursley Boys have been leaderless many, many times. It's not uncommon for them to occasionally fall into disarray due to the death of a leader, but they soon reorganize themselves and they always get back on their feet. Get back on the horse is probably a more apt analogy, and carry on business as usual. Yeah, it's a recurring feature with the Dursley Boys that they lose a leader and then gain a new one, and that leader's always a weird and wonderful individual. My favourite, probably Tommy Two-Tongue, and that's perhaps why he stuck around the longest.
The timing couldn't be worse. Oro the Eversphere has dispatched his most trusted eye to investigate the strange proliferation of abject mouths across Dreamland.
Oro is the polygod of law and order, and since his job is effectively to maintain law and order across Dreamland, and bug powder is a drug and therefore illegal, Oro has caught on to the possibility that the Dursley Boys are using the abject mouths to distribute bug powder, and so he has dispatched one of his spies to investigate this further with the aim of putting an end to the bug powder trade.
Oro wants them eradicated, but for the Dursley Boys, the abject mouths are their last, desperate hope of clawing back control of the bug powder trade from the Crudfoot family, their fiercest rivals. This woman is soon to be visited by the Golem brothers. Why?
Why indeed? The Golem brothers work for Oro the Eversphere, and they are tasked with eliminating necromancy. And so in this video, the Golem brothers visit this seemingly very normal woman because they suspect her of necromancy. And this video is important because what it shows is that necromancy is not something that is practiced only by cult members who wear hooded robes and live in Mount Dice, but it's something that is spread across Dreamland, and many apparently normal everyday individuals could be necromancers themselves, and they hide it, and that's what this video is more or less getting at.
It's not because her husband steals mugs from work. No, the Golem brothers care not about mere pilferage, but they do care about necromancy. And in the basement of this woman's home is a ritualistic shrine dedicated to the glorious orbital dice.
So if you are a follower of the glorious orbital dice, you either are a necromancer or you are interested in necromancy, and worshipping the glorious orbital dice is probably the most risky because it might land you in Grove Hollow Dungeon. You might be visited by the Golem brothers and arrested and locked away.
Mr. Ghoul wants a quick tickle.
We definitely need to bring back Mr. Ghoul. He's only been in this one video. I'm quite impressed that whoever commented requesting more Mr. Ghoul remembers him. That's definitely one of my OG viewers right there.
But you don't have time to tickle.
There's also a lot of tickling in Dreamland. Even the glorious orbital dice was cast as the god of necromancy and tickling. He doesn't do so much tickling anymore. Not because he has no arms, but I think he has more important matters to attend to, particularly those pertaining to necromancy. But anyway, Mr. Ghoul wants a quick tickle, but you don't have time to tickle. Why is that?
Because a bothersome plant is growing in your garden and it keeps asking you for water.
Now this plant is clearly unlike any of the others in the garden, and we get the impression that no one deliberately put it there. Perhaps it burrowed underground and poked its head out and decided just to stake claim to your backyard. And he looks somewhat polite. First glance you might think he's hostile or even demanding, but in a way he's quite sweet, isn't he? Keeps asking you for water. I think I'd give the plant water, but then he might grow even bigger. There might be more of them, and if you start giving him water, maybe other plants, his plant kin, will come along and take advantage of you. And then eventually your whole garden will be full of these strange, sharp-toothed plants that just want to stay hydrated.
Oh look, God has appeared in the sky.
This is the first glorious orbital dice video, and we actually have dialogue from the dice here. I didn't refer to him as the glorious orbital dice in this video. I referred to him as God, and he is a god. He's the polygod of necromancy. But God is an abbreviation. It stands for glorious orbital dice. The dice wants you, the viewer, to dance for him.
And he wants to watch you dance. But God doesn't like music, so you'll have to dance in silence.
If you do this for me,
God says.
I will stop tickling your feet as you try to go to sleep at night.
And then we see the tickling element of the glorious orbital dice. It's more likely that he elicits the help of somebody else to engage in his tickling practices, because unless he does it with his tongue, clearly he's going to be incapable of tickling anything, because he's just a godhead. He looks particularly menacing here. I think the glorious orbital dice is my favourite polygod, and I'm quite alone in that regard, because it seems as though most people support Triangulus or Oro. Are there any Pentacles supporters out there? Please let me know if there are.
The wizard at the gas station sold you some magic beans.
The gas station wizard. He is supposed to look like what you Americans would probably consider the stereotypical GameStop employee. Whether or not he is a wizard is debatable. He certainly believes he's a wizard, and he hangs out at the gas station selling magic beans. And these beans clearly have psychoactive properties. And whether or not you knew this at the time you purchased them is unclear, but nonetheless, you buy them, you take them, and then the following series of events ensue.
He said, "Take 2, but you ate the whole bag. You lost your job after that, but at least you're the real wizard now. This is a cat."
In Dreamland, cats are what we consider cows, and vice versa.
And like all cats, it hates Oro the Eversphere.
The reason for this is that cats, even though they are cows, still possess the kind of personality traits that we typically associate with felines. And one such trait is a general skepticism towards figures of authority. And now, as Oro the Eversphere is the polygod of law and order, as well as joyous occasion, cats do not like him because he represents rules, and rules, to a certain extent, inhibit individual freedom, at least as far as the cats or the cows are concerned.
This is because Oro likes cows, and cows are the enemies of cats.
So there we go. I gave you one reason. This is a far simpler reason. Both can be true.
The Mushroom Man guards his fungi day and night. He believes that Hubert wants to take them back to his swamp and make them his pets. But this is not true. Hubert does not think mushrooms make very good pets.
Why might mushrooms make good pets? They can be left outdoors. They require fairly little maintenance, and sometimes they can be rather colourful. They could also be poisonous. Then again, if the mushroom is your pet, then that shouldn't be your concern.
You forgot to hand in your report to Mr. Skin.
I'll just come right out and say it. Mr. Skin is my favourite Dreamland character. He is hilarious to me. He does kind of look like Voldemort, but he's much more sarcastic.
So he's sent you up on the roof to think about what you've done. At least you didn't end up like Roger. He got sent home with a giant shoe.
With Mr. Skin, he's the office manager. Now, we don't know what his company does, or at least we don't find out until much later. But he's this disciplinarian type figure who is obsessed with productivity and work, and if he could, he would spend every waking moment of his life working, but not working in the conventional sense of him sitting down at his desk and typing, sending emails, and doing general administrative tasks like his employers would be doing. No, for him, work is about exercising control over his employers at every possible juncture. He's not one of those managers who sets out the rules and then only applies them to his employees. No, no, no. Mr. Skin loves the rules. He lives by rules. The asparagus must be heated at a very specific temperature when taken off the stove. There are many things, many things going on with Mr. Skin. He's the perfect character, in my opinion.
He roams Dreamland searching for his favorite mound of dirt.
Now this figure here might look like a polygod, specifically Oro, although with more eyes, clearly. But he's not. He's not even a lesser god. I don't know what his name is. I didn't create any lore surrounding this character, aside from the fact that he has a penchant for dirt, and he spends all of his days roaming Dreamland in search of a mound of dirt that will be perfect for him. Perfect for what? We don't know, and we don't necessarily need to know. It's precisely that ambiguity that makes it interesting. If I were to justify why he's searching for his favourite mound of dirt, then the video would almost lose its intrigue.
But the dirt folk cannot stand anyone looking at their precious monuments.
Ah yes, so the dirt folk are very upset that this giant orb is going around ogling their dirt. Because to them, it's not just a pile of dirt, it's a monument. It's an important symbol of community, solidarity, and hope. And this bothersome orb is just going around potentially desecrating their precious monuments.
So they send the Beetle boys to go and pop him like a balloon.
Now, whether the Beetle boys were successful in popping the giant orb like a balloon, we don't know. I can't imagine that they were, since the Beetle boys are tiny and the orb is in the air floating, so it wouldn't be particularly difficult for him to get away. But you never know in this world. You never know how capable even seemingly insignificant creatures might be.
Your new lawnmower is acting strange. It starts on its own and won't let you push it. But at least you have more time to sell televisions down the back alley. Except they only show the tennis channel. And tennis has been illegal ever since Clive began dressing as a ballerina.
Here we go. If anyone is wondering why tennis is illegal, the answer is buried right at the beginning of the Dreamland series. Now, Clive dressing as a ballerina has caused many issues in Dreamland. Many fiscal, political, and legal issues. But perhaps the most devastating impact that Clive's choice of attire has had is on the legality of tennis. It's rather unfortunate, if you ask me.
The Dursley boys thought they'd catch you off guard.
This is the first video featuring the Dursley boys. I don't think I knew at this point how important they would become in the series as a whole. And we were also introduced to Old Man Smoke here, who was the leader of the Dursley boys before both Ronnie the Gun and Tommy Two-Tongue.
But you came prepared. It's not every day that a ragtag gang of banditos get their comeuppance. Now you just have to take out Old Man Smoke and then you're out the game forever.
Well, that's quite interesting because the Dursley boys have been through many leaders, and Old Man Smoke wasn't the first leader. But in this video it's implied that his death was perhaps caused by you as a traveller in Dreamland. But we shouldn't necessarily take that at face value, because often, as you will have gathered, whenever the viewer is addressed as the participant in the events of a video, the character is always different. It's not like it's one video game character and you're going around affecting all of these events in Dreamland. You, in this particular instance, could simply be the person who took out Old Man Smoke. Maybe it was a Crudfoot. Maybe it was one of Sheriff Flint McCade's boys. Maybe it was a park patroller. We don't know.
To play hide and seek among the trees, but little does he know that you are a tree. That's why you've been winning for hours, while the dolphin boy got caught straight away.
If you're playing hide and seek among the trees, you've got a strong chance of winning if you either are a tree or better yet, you can shapeshift into a tree. And then, of course, the dolphin boy, he's going to stick out like a sore thumb, isn't he? I mean, look at the colour of him. He's blue. You'd see him from a mile away.